So next weekend, Marimba and Steelpan bands will converge in Johannesburg for this year's International Marimba and Steelpan Festival. It's in its 13th year. The festival will bring together a record-breaking number of 2,300 musicians and over 300 performances. The vibrant and musical event was launched in 2012 to create a worldwide awareness of the educational value of marimba playing and to create an international platform for marimba and steelpan players in South Africa. Later, we are going to be joined by the Education Africa All-Stars Band to give us a taste of what some of the audiences can expect at the International Marimba and Steelpan Festival. But for now, let's talk to Bradley Lithgow, who is the Assistant Program Manager at the Education Africa International Marimba and Steelpan Festival. Nice to have you, Brad. Thanks so much for coming in.
Hi, Leanne. Thank you so much for having us.
It's such a pleasure. I mean, this is such a beautiful festival, and it really is regarded as one of the largest in the world and one of the largest of its kind.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a very, very big one. Perhaps talk to us about the initial beginnings of it all.
Sure. So the festival's run by Education Africa, and we're a fantastic NPO with a number of projects. We have a school that we run in Orange Farm, ECD project, which is fantastic, that trains teachers. And one of our big flagship events in our marimba program is our International Marimba and Steelpan Festival.
Yeah. And
it's really become a product that supports our marimba hubs. At Education Africa, we also have over 30 marimba hubs in various under-resourced schools. And this is really a culmination for those hubs and all the marimba bands in the marimba community of Southern Africa and further afield to come together in a really great, socially cohesive event, fully inclusive marimba event that encompasses all the marimba community of Southern Africa, which is really fantastic. A big community, which people don't realize.
It's huge. I mean, I'm not going to ask you to put a number to it, but it is one of those massive communities, and it is growing and growing in popularity as well. Perhaps you can maybe give us a little bit of the heritage of it, you know, where it all started, for people that are not necessarily too familiar with its roots and where it all began.
So this is our 13th year, lucky number 13 this year, and it started as we saw a need at Education Africa to bring all of these scattered marimba bands. And marimba bands in South Africa are one of the most socially economic, inclusive instruments and functions of music education throughout the country. You find them at top private schools and all of the different quintile schools throughout South Africa. And very rarely do they get together and create true social cohesion, playing together, meeting each other, competing each other, and learning from each other. And that's really where the idea behind this festival began. Because we have everyone throughout Southern Africa and even further afield in these little isolated groups. And this is the perfect festival to bring them all together in one big marimba community.
Where did the sound originate?
Marimbas, no one really knows where marimbas started. You get different marimbas all around the world. We kind of like to think the marimba that we all know in South Africa is the marimba we all know in South Africa is very different from the one that people in South America know and in Europe. But the marimba in South Africa was the original concept was designed in Zimbabwe, and it's one of the a new instrument. Everyone thinks it's from 100 years ago, and it's not really. It was conceived in the 1970s, actually as a unifying instrument in Zimbabwe. And then that concept of a marimba came through to South Africa, and it got refined and changed and different. So you get all different types of marimbas in South Africa. They all look different, but the idea is very much the same. And the idea of playing in a big band like this, like we'll see later, is a very uniquely Southern African instrument.
Fantastic. You know? What about the steelpan, though? Because it's obviously is it all in one, or is it a kind of separate? It's a separate thing.
So the steelpan story is very similar to the marimba story, but in Trinidad and Tobago, obviously. And steelpans are also very popular in South Africa. Marimbas and steelpans are very popular because it's very immediate music. You know, if you play some other instruments, it takes you years and years to get a good sound. You can become a really great marimba player within a few hours of lessons.
It's fantastic. I love that. And I've watched that. It doesn't matter what, because I know that at the school my daughter's at, they also do this. And I mean, well, I say that because she does it. So she loves it. And from a very early age, that's what I love, because I mean, it does take time to get into a musical instrument. But when you're playing this, I mean, it's you get it quickly, you know, and they can do it from a very young age.
And the educational benefits behind marimba playing are immense. There's very few different things that can put a whole group of people together from different walks of life, and you can play music very quickly. And from a brain perspective, there's very intricate things that happen when you cross the midline from an educational perspective, and playing together and alternating hands and all of those things. And in our teaching methodology that we teach in all of our marimba hubs, that's what we encourage. And it's not always about, in our marimba hub certainly, it's not always about the actual music that comes from this. It's all about the holistic education that comes from playing marimbas. You know, there's so many thousands and thousands of people in the country who play marimbas. Not all of them are going to become professional marimba players. And not all of them should become professional marimba players. They should all learn how to become great human beings, great South Africans, you know, through playing marimbas. Great. And that's what we really encourage at Education Africa.
So, and it's working, because, I mean, if we look at this record-breaking number, 2,300 musicians is what I mentioned in the beginning, mostly from, you know, young, South Africa, Botswana, Zimbabwe, and as you mentioned, Trinidad and Tobago, taking part in this festival. So perhaps maybe you can talk to us about how the participants are chosen, how does it work, what's it all about?
Sure. So it's a very inclusive event. There's no auditioning or anything like that. People sign up to come to the event. And it takes place in the form of a competition, in essence. But it's really not about the competition. It's about the coming together and the festival and all of that. And all the schools from all over the place. We have this year also a hybrid event where we have online festival happening at the same time. You know, we all learned from that period in our lives.
Of course.
And schools come and they register with us way at the beginning of the year. And they all are selected in different categories that they want to compete and play in. And then they all come from around Southern Africa and further afield, and are put into different categories. And at the time, we have a big venue. We have 2 venues that have, in total, about 300 marimbas scattered all in these huge venues. It's really a sight to see.
Wow.
And they play in different categories, and we have adjudicators. And then we have a big massed event where if there's any members of the public who also would like to come and participate in that and play in a marimba band of 300, that's a real luck draw card. Imagine. If anyone wants to come do that.
That's so much fun. So we've got some amazing young youth that are going to play for us a little bit later on. Perhaps you can tell us about the group that are going to play for us.
So the group that's playing from us are our second group of our alumni internship program.
Yeah.
And they have all come through our marimba hubs, through various different hubs throughout Gauteng, and are now all young adults, eager, brilliant marimba players, and are all training to be great marimba teachers and really navigate the world of life. And they also are brilliant players, and they play in this band called the Alumni All-Stars Marimba Band.
The Alumni All-Stars. Awesome. Well, we're going to be hearing from the Alumni All-Stars in a couple of minutes' time. So for anyone that's watching, are the public allowed to attend?
Yes.
Can we get tickets? What do we do?
Yes, definitely. So tickets are available on Ticket Pro. If you just type in Education Africa International Marimba and Steelpan Festival. And you can follow us on all of our social media, where there's all of that sort of information available. Education Africa International Marimba and Steelpan Festival.
That's
on all social media. And we would love to see members of the public come watch a giant spectacle celebrating a real Southern African sort of instrument, and all the youth together playing that. And they, you know, if you've never played marimbas before, this is the perfect opportunity to come and play.
Good. Find out if you've got a musical note in your body. This is the way to find out. It really is. And listen, I have to tell you a secret. As I'm doing this, and Bradley sits down and I'm listening and I'm reading it, I'm like, I'm sure my daughter's participating in this festival next weekend. Happens to be the same festival.
Yeah. So we'll see you there.
I will be there in all my bells and whistles, doing what I can to support. So it's going to be fantastic. Bradley, good luck.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
It's such a pleasure. Thanks for coming in. Bradley Lithgow, who's Assistant Program Manager at the Education Africa International Marimba and Steelpan Festival. It's taking place next weekend. It, of course, is the International Marimba and Steelpan Festival. It's in Johannesburg. I never even asked you the venue.
Oh, sorry, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just sitting. I know it's Johannesburg.
I also realized,
It's in Boksburg.
It's in at St. Dominic's School, St. Dominic's Catholic School for Girls in Boksburg. Johannesburg.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, not
Now-
too far away.
Now I remember. All right, there we go. So musicians from all over, from South Africa, Botswana and Zimbabwe, as well as Trinidad and Tobago, are going to be taking part.